YouTube. You've got Virtue for another clip. I'm going to talk about Linda Vista Apartments, which were once a hospital, a community hospital in, I think it's East LA. But of course, you know, because of gentrification and things like that, have been turned into apartments. What you're looking at here is an image of a painting of mine, if you don't know my work already. When I do hauntings, or when I explore hauntings, I paint them after the effect of them. The circle things that you'll see throughout my work are bindings, and a binding is a very old witch's ritual which basically ceases haunted activity. And I do two types of bindings. I do a healing binding, and then I do a you're not going damn anywhere binding. You know, a binding that really will not let them out. I don't actually punish them because that's not up to me. But I certainly attempt to heal those that need it. Generally the ones that I heal that need it are people that are trapped, need to cross over. I mean, there's so many, God. So many people that are trapped. And I do what I can. I have a lot of spiritual allies that help me with this, in particular the Ghede LOA. The Ghede LOA are voodoo gods that are experts in the dead. And they've helped me a lot with this stuff. They really have. It was funny how I came across this haunting. I came across this haunting because I'd been warned by the Ghede that I'd been told over and over again, they were so insistent, that there were old people being pushed off their Zimmer frames, there were old people being injured, there were old people in all sorts of problems, and I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, because with spirit, it always comes in a bit backwards, because the opposite of what we are. It's the opposite of the living. So you'll often get like a hint, continual hint, before you get the explanation. It's probably not that clear, but it's like the opposite of cause and effect. You'll get the effect before you get the cause of it. How did I figure out it was Linda Vista? It was my old friend Ghost Adventures. I watch a lot of crap TV because I'm working from home, and I take, you know, I sort of have a lot of monotonous stuff I've got to do, and I have the TV on in the background, and Ghost Adventure was rolling sort of, you know, on, there were episodes coming up on YouTube, and I came across this one and it looked really familiar. I also had the Ghede sort of getting quite excited, and I thought, oh hello, what's going on here? This is something fairly strange. So I knew, I had an indication, an instinct that this was it. I went through this episode, and as I sort of started recognizing what people are talking about and the way they were dealing with these things and the effect it was having on other people, I started to realize that this was actually what they were talking about. Now, in this Ghost Adventures episode, at that stage, they were just apartments that normal people lived in. And I thought, well, that's a bit weird. I don't know what the old people thing is about. But I sort of really had enough indication to say, well, look, okay, I think I might paint this and see what's going on. However, I did a little bit of research, because often I will, before I paint them, not so much to find out what the entities are, but just to make sure that whatever's there is, like, the building is still there. I'm not going to waste my time doing something like that if it's not there. And I was amazed to find out that the apartments had now turned into a retirement home. So that's why they were talking about the old people. So that's how I came to do these. So we'll move on to the next image, which is of a death demon. So exploring this through painting, the major issue in these, or what I thought were flats, was this thing. Now I've had it's getting ridiculous. I've had so many indications of these things. I call them death demons. I don't actually know what they are. But what they do is that they are some sort of inhuman form. They're not very bright. They're not really highly intelligent beings. They are lower level stuff. And what they do is they try and they don't seem to have independence of their own. So what they do is they try and get living people and the dead and somehow trap them. Now with the dead they can be quite lethal because what they'll do is get them to do their bidding. And they'll do things like push people downstairs. That's what they'll get the uncrossed over dead that they've trapped to do. They'll get them to do like almost their haunting duty. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's what's happening. With people that are vulnerable, I mean, I think with most people that are strong-willed, they wouldn't have the ability to affect them. But if you get people around them that are sort of vulnerable, maybe a bit depressed, already a bit, suffering from depression and things, these things can be fucking lethal to them. Because it doesn't take much to push you over the edge, and these things are going to give you a push. That was what was in there. And this is what's been causing all the problems, because all of these other trapped dead were sort of, I know it sounds really paranoid, but they were actually doing its bidding because they had no other choice. So in a case like this with these death demons, for want of a better word, the issue is that you've got to get them separate. You've got to separate and get all of those dead that are trapped, dead people that are trapped, and away from this. And this is what we did. Well, I painted it, but the Ghede LOA did it, because they're the ones that do this sort of thing. So that's what they've been warning me about. I'll go on to the next entity, and I'm not going to talk much longer about this because I'm not really sure about why this entity is there. But anyway, let's have a look at the image. Okay, this is an image of Buer, who is a demon, classical demon. My abilities are very natural. I don't know a lot about demonic names that much because I've never really had to. I've been working with spirits since I was a young kid, and it's always been a very natural process for me. So I'd never heard of Buer before. Like I've got nothing against Satanism, but I'm not a Satanist. I don't sort of get into that thing. I am aware of other forms like the lower and things like that, but I'd never come across Buer. And when I was painting this painting, first up, it gave me the chills. It really did. I was just, whoever this demonic form is, it made me feel really, really ill while I was painting it, and really uncomfortable. But I kept getting in my head when I was painting, do 5 limbs in the shape of a wheel, and I really had no idea who Buer was. So after I finished painting, and of course mine's always a bit more abstract, it's not going to be anything too neat because I don't do neat. After I finished painting him, you know, a day or two after, I thought I should type in demon with 5 legs and see what happens. And that's actually what happened. It came up with Buer. And immediately seeing the image of him, because he actually traditionally is drawn like almost like a cartwheel. He's round and apparently he rolls. And I thought, wow, that's trippy. But the one thing I can tell you about this image is this binding that's on him is you're not going anywhere. Because he keeps trying to, it doesn't anymore. He was trying to convince me to let him out. I'm not doing anything, and I'm thinking, no, I don't believe you. If they make you feel icky, get away from them no matter what they say. Anyway, that's my exploration in painting and spiritual practice of Linda Vista. I hope you enjoyed that clip. Would be absolutely wonderful if you listen to it and hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you on another clip. Thanks for listening.